Hello guys, welcome to another market review. We're gonna kick off with Bitcoin. Last week we mentioned how around here on Sunday it didn't make any sense to go short, and going long was a good idea after having dropped 35%. And we got this nice bullish candle on Monday. Sadly, that was the top of the week, but it was everything we were aiming for because we were targeting these highs here. So we met our target and then price just retraced all of that, and we seem to be pushing up today. However, when we look at Bitcoin on higher time frames, really there's nothing to get excited about, because after this strong bearish November, this candle of November, um, there's a lot of resistance along the way. And the way Bitcoin is behaving right now, when a lot of capital is being pushed out of the risk curve, um, it's just sending the signal that there's not going to be enough buyers around here, and we probably just need to revisit 75k, something like that, before we find a new bottom and we can start trending higher. The reason why I mentioned that is we are seeing the Nikkei push higher like crazy, and we know this is because there's going to be a lot of short-term debt being emitted by the Bank of Japan, and we know what happens in Japan impacts global markets. It can unwind the carry trade of the yen and be set for a big risk off environment, and it can set a big risk on environment, like in this case. This is why we saw the Nikkei go 4% up in a single day. This is not normal. This is not normal. This is why we're seeing silver 7% up today and gold nearly 3% up today. There's a lot of capital being pushed out of the risk curve. Um, and we are not seeing Bitcoin catch a bit in this environment. So that's just at least sending a signal to be wary and not get too eager about any bullish price action here yet. And I think every push into these zones is going to resolve going lower. So that's Bitcoin covered. Now I wanted to go back to my lovely EURUSD. Last week we mentioned how we were bullish long term. We expected this year to be bullish on the euro and very bearish on the dollar. However, there wasn't anything to be bullish. We didn't have any reason to be bullish for last week, and we were expecting a retest of the weekly open or the yearly open to get bearish and short towards this zone here, where we had a very, very, very strong impulse, right? We were pushing lower slowly until this market caught a bid and started going higher. And this is why I was targeting this zone for my shorts. And it was pretty. I mean, this is perfect. This is you cannot ask for a better trade, really. We sold off from the weekly open, and the retest of the yearly open just sent price into that target. So Yeah, pretty perfect. Um, Now, I mentioned that I didn't want to see price going much lower. I mean, I wouldn't. That was not my base scenario. Um, so I think that EURUSD could have bottomed here. Maybe this is the low of the year. I don't know. Um, we will know probably whenever we see price just close above the yearly open, right, and hold there. Then is when I will like to scale in with more size and start looking for that push towards 120 and 122, 125. For now, I think that it's probably bottomed and you want to be a buyer of any pullback this market gives. So we um, have volatility tomorrow and on Wednesday. So if by any chance we got a dip, I mean, to below this line would be perfect, targeting this imbalance, this explosive move, something like this would be nice, and we're targeting the yearly open. And from the yearly open, we probably would um, retrace a bit. I don't know how much, right? But I don't think it should hold much longer, and we'll probably get a close above this month or maybe on February. But the, I'm this is the long trick I have. I have like to take these lows into this imbalance, close above, and we go long, targeting the yearly open. Or we could get a deeper pullback, and I think it makes sense to blindly buy the weekly open because I really don't think this is going much lower. And the way that this daily candle is shaping, this is a bullish engulfing. So this is setting up the bias for the whole week. So any pullback is a gift to get long. But for now, we are only targeting the yearly open. The moment we close above, then we can get even more bullish. Yeah, I wanted to cover Euro AUD next because I'm in a long right now, but just let me get rid of these drawings and rewind uh, so that we can remember what I said last week. Well, last week I was bearish. I said I didn't mind a retest of the yearly open before pushing lower towards this zone, and all we had was a straight sell-off from the weekly open, and we got into that target within 3 days, and that was the low for the week. I also mentioned how at this zone I wanted to be a strong buyer because if I've learned something from trading FX and especially Euro AUD is that these, if you can identify strong origins of demand and supply, you are you have a very valid setup that's going to um, give you money repeatedly, but you have to be very picky with the zones where you do business at. This was one of them, right? And we saw that market didn't spend any time here. It was quick dip and we started pushing higher. Now, if we compare this price action here to the one we had on the left hand side, we had 1 day, 2 days of upward movement, just like here. then 2 days of bearish candles, just like we are seeing here. On the third day, we had this strong impulse, and we targeted this level here. So what that means is that probably if we are bullish, which I am, based on the strong reaction from here, and because I don't think it makes sense to be bearish right now. Yeah, let me get my drawings back. Yeah, that's it. So zooming in, I've gone long at the weekly open half size with the profits I made from longing this, and I have another limit at this zone here. The reason for that is because when you take a look at what price it strongly bounced from this zone, okay? Then it ranged here and it broke from this zone with strength, right? What I see here is another strong origin of the demand on the hourly chart. So obviously this is not as strong as this one here, which is a daily zone. This is only hourly. But I think that price is probably going to find a bottom here. If it doesn't and it just breaks below this zone, then I think that price is probably just going to push lower into this zone, and we'll have to reassess once we have checked what price does here, right? But I will still be bullish with price around here. Maybe it takes this low, right? SFPs on a daily close above and then keeps going higher. We'll have to see. But for now, this is the reason why I have these two positions in, right? I think, the risk reward is just there. 5R. It does make a lot of sense to me to take this position with a stop loss around here on this wick. But a close below this demand zone would be strong enough for me to get out of the trade, because it would show that there's no demand around here and we're gonna go lower. That being said, I think there's another, if price bounces from here, right? Because we are making this sort of pattern, this is like a bull flag, right? The moment we close above, we will also be closing above the weekly open and breaking this pattern. We can add another position here and target the yearly open. This is a very beautiful bullish flag. Yeah. Now I just wanted to cover the yen pairs because I mentioned how EURJPY was looking like shit last week, and I thought it was going to dump, and that's exactly what happened. But it reversed on Friday. It's like I showed the Nikkei did, the 4% in one day, right? All yen pairs did something similar on that day. This is why I think it's time to pay attention to what the Japanese market does, because it's going to spill over to the rest of the world. But I think it's just maybe time to get long on a swing perspective on the yen pairs across the euro and GBP and maybe even USD. Actually, when you look at this, like on a higher time frame, This is a very strong breakout. And very similar here on GBP, JPY. And these are quarterly charts. So this means that a trend is going to happen. So prepare to see something like this, right? If we are correct. This is why I mentioned that, yeah, and this is why I mentioned that it's time to get long on a swing perspective and look at AUD this is a very, very clear target. And look at the respect for this trend line. Breakout and retest and never closes below. So I think they should all keep pushing higher. And yeah, it's going to be a bullish year for all yen pairs, and we also expect it to be bearish for the USD. So maybe USD JPY is not the best instrument to get long, but yeah, we'll see. So that's everything I wanted to cover. Thank you for bearing with me, and see you guys next week.